Hello, I'm Corinne and I'm a Scot living and knitting in New Hampshire, USA, and I own and operate the Woolly Thistle. If you like woolly wool, independent knitting books and all that we love here at the Woolly Thistle, then you have found your woolly home here with us. We welcome everyone who has a love for rustic, natural, traditional, storied and exciting wools and yarns. Let us do the international shipping so you don't have to, and welcome to this episode. Don't forget to sign up for the shop letter and follow us on Instagram and Facebook, all at the Woolly Thistle. And don't forget, we have 2 L's in woolly. So how are you? It's great to be back with you. It's been a couple of weeks. We did have a live Instagram in between. We did that on a Wednesday in the weekend between the podcast going out. And I guess if you keep showing up, then I'll keep showing up too. It's really fun to do that live. A little nerve-wracking, but you're a kind group of people. And so far, so good. So it's Saturday morning. I'm here at the shop. It's all quiet. We might have some airplanes flying over. Those recreational pilots are out. The weather's beautiful. It's probably really great flying weather. We're up near the airport in West Lebanon, New Hampshire, right where 89 and 91 intersects. And it is a cooler day today, so I'm wearing wool. I will take the advantage of a cooler day every time and throw on wool. I'm so bad that way. My daughter just shook her head when she saw me leaving today. And let me tell you about what I'm wearing. This, I believe, is called the Autumn Leaves Sweater by Alana Dakos, who is never not knitting. And the wool, the yarn is Kate Davies's first yarn, Buckle. And I bought this at EYF back in 2016 and knitted it up very quickly. I love the pattern. I love the lace. But I did not do a good job of matching the yarn to the pattern. And so that was a rookie mistake, but I learned from it. And aren't we all always learning from our knitting? So this yarn is 100% wool, of course, and is a very springy wool. So it wants to go back to its shape, and it wants that shape to be like this. Whereas alpaca is a longer staple and it has more drape, and that's what this should have. This should be sort of hanging a little bit lower, opening up the lace in the pattern. So I haven't worn this sweater very much, which is a crying shame because I absolutely want to wear it. I think I'm going to have to knit another one in more drapey yarn. But anyway, it's the middle of June. It's very nice and cool outside and I'm wearing wool. So, you know, all's well with the world. We did have a heat wave and that was miserable. Knitting in a heat wave, we all do it. But, you know, I think that probably is the divider for real knitters. Or should I say, you know, off their head knitters like me and just casual knitters or fair weather knitters. You know, you knit in the winter, you knit in the fall, you knit all the time in the proper weather. But when you're on my side of things, you knit no matter how sweaty you feel and how much everything's damp and sticking to your fingers and just disgusting. But you still do it because you love it and you need to do that. I think you're my guys, right? I'm talking to people who are like me. I'm pretty sure. It's a very good place to be, I have to say. So anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. Welcome to the episode. And this is a different episode in a way because we have an interview with Denise, who is Earth Tones Girl, all about socks. And also, I'm going to show you everything that is in our Thistle Knitters sock bag, which we've been telling you about for the last week or so. And we're so excited. It goes on sale today. Pre-orders open today. We expect sales to be brisk, which is fantastic. Thank you so much for the love you've been showing this. And we've only been showing you sneak peeks so far. Today, I'm going to show you everything. So let me, before we get into that, before I show you everything in there, let me talk about my news. And I also have the VAM sweater update for you that I'll share with you. Also, thank you so much. Many of you left comments that you would be interested in a course for the VAMS Cardi, which is behind the Belvrade Hap there, which is in Berlin Yarns. So thank you. That's really, really good to know. And I'm glad that there's some interest for that. So I will be working on coming up with some sort of course And I'll let you know when I'm at the next stage and ready to talk about that some more. So that's exciting. The Vams Cardi is coming along, and I will talk about that in a minute. But first, I'm totally jeeped and caffeinated today. I don't know if you can tell. Had a great night's sleep, drank my Diet Coke this morning, all chipper. It's cool outside. I'm like a little, chipmunk or squirrel who's just all excited for the cooler weather and putting on wool. Anyway, I think I've talked enough about that. You get my message. So let's talk about who won the $25 gift certificate for this week. And it is Bonnie Markham. So Bonnie, congratulations. You won a $25 gift certificate to the Woolly Thistle. All you need to do is email us at info@thewoollythistle. Put winner in the subject line, all in capitals. That way we can find you nice and quickly and we'll get your gift card out to you. But Bonnie says, I love the sock bag design. The knitting woman is fabulous. I'm excited about your cardigan pattern. Thank you for all of your fun podcasts. Well, thank you for watching. I wouldn't do it if you weren't here with me. So thank you for being a really great audience. I love getting your comments. I read all of them. If I had more time, I would definitely reply to lots more of them, but I do give you all a love heart when I've read you. So thank you so much for that. If you get a love heart in your comment, that's from me. If you get more than one, it's me and somebody else. But anywho, so congratulations on winning, and you too could be a winner. All you need to do is leave a comment to this episode, subscribe to our channel, and give us a thumbs up. And you know what? Bonus points if you tell a friend and they come and watch too. We are trying to grow our YouTube channel. We really feel like we can connect with you here, and it's really fun to do it and show you all the yarns and the patterns and the designs and all the lovely bits and bobs that keep coming in. I'm going to show you about those in a minute. So yeah, tell your friends, have a watch party. Just come and join us over here on YouTube. And if you're already here, well, you must be because you're watching. So thank you very much. We do appreciate it. All of us at the Woolly Thistle appreciate you, our lovely viewers and customers. So I will be showing you what's in the socks box. So just hang on a minute for that. But before that, maybe even more exciting, I don't know, is to show you my progress on the Vams Cardi, which is a new cardigan I'm designing. I'm knitting it in, I don't have a ball here, but I'm knitting it in Rama Vams, which is their worsted Aran weight yarn. And it's a woolen spun yarn, and it's very floofy. And this is the second one I'm knitting, and you can see it's knitted in the round. This will be the steek. It's a raglan shaped cardigan, so these are the sleeves. But I have shaped it so that it's going to fit a woman's body, boom, 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 boom. And so there's bust shaping if you need it. There's also waist shaping, which is showing up quite well there. This hasn't been blocked. This is still on the needles. And there's waist shaping in the back. I don't know if you can see that. There it is, sort of. Can you see? And you'll notice that the waist shaping is actually more centered on the front and in the back. It's not on the sides. Now, actually, this sweater I'm wearing today has waist shaping on the sides. You can see that the waist shaping has been done right here on the side. And I think, that is the wisdom of everybody who, of many designers, and that's fine. I like to always change that up and put the darts or the shaping where I would prefer them to be, so that I get a nice round 3D body shape rather than something that looks great when it's laying flat and does this on a 2D flat surface. But I am not flat, that's for sure. But let me tell you, I'm going to be, while I'm talking to you and watching my interview with the lovely Denise of Earth Tones Girl, I will be ripping this out that I just showed you all the way to the beginning. And I'll tell you why in just a minute. I'm trying to get my stitches off the needle here. I put it on a needle that was too big. So you got to watch your gauge. I do give you a gauge to try and achieve, but of course, if you don't get the gauge that I have, or you prefer a different gauge, then you just need to do a little bit of math here and there to make it work for you. So you're going to see me doing this throughout the podcast while I talk to you. But let me first show you the gray Vams cardigan that is all but finished. And horrors, it's not going to work for us. Let me unveil it now. Okay, here it is. Now, right away, I want you to notice a couple of things. First is this side is longer than this side if I just leave it to its own devices. And I'm being completely and utterly honest with you, okay? I'm showing you my mistakes so that you can learn from them too, because I'm learning a lot from this. So the first thing is to notice is that I've got two different lengths, switches. How do you do that? That's impossible. The next thing, and the more concerning thing, is that this is not going to close. And it's not just because she's on my big busty lady. This mannequin, I think, is just a little bit bigger than me. So there's more than a full hand breadth of space there. I did do an I-cord bind off on this, but that doesn't mean anything in terms of how many stitches should be here. So I knitted this. I wrote the pattern. I had all my numbers. My stitch count matched the numbers I'd written down on the pattern. And it wasn't until I tried it on that I saw this. And I went back to my pattern and looked at the numbers and realized that I had missed a whole bunch of stitches here and a whole bunch of stitches there. I had forgotten to write it into the pattern to close the neck. And so I sort of stopped where the decreases for the neck shaping stopped and started, I joined my steek and off we went. And I should have come further around, then made my steek, then start. Gutted because I don't come off as perfect. Not really. I don't mind not coming off as perfect. I don't think anyone is perfect. And I'm okay sharing with you my mistakes because you will learn from that too. So yeah, I even realized after I'd been knitting it, before I'd cut it even, that the numbers and the pattern weren't quite matching, because I think I did actually add, this is what happened. I added the stitches here and got knitting, so everything was correct, but I forgot to write it in the pattern. And so then when I went back to check my pattern, the counts were off, and I thought, oh, I must have written it down wrong, and I changed my number and thought, okay. And no, not okay. So I'm going to be ripping out this one because this one is written in a very similar vein, which is there's not enough stitches in the front. God damn it. So anyway, now the other thing I pointed out is the difference here in length. And I wanted to show you this because I realized you pick up stitches for your button band or you pick up stitches to knit the I-cord. And on this side, I knew it when I was doing the second one. On this side, I think I have fewer stitches picked up. And on this side, I have more stitches because there's more stretch in it. And so this one sort of wants to whoop up. It's that springy thing of the wool. There's fewer stitches. This is where it wants to land naturally. And I think I need to make it a little bit more, put more stitches in it. So that tells me in the pattern, I'm going to tell you to aim for this number of stitches, and then you won't do what I did, which is have a different number. But look at the difference. I mean, obviously these two sides are the same. It's just one has a looser gauge on the I-cord bind off, the closing, and this one has a tighter one. So I didn't finish the neck because what's the point? So I will finish the neck on the next one, obviously. But I did do the sleeves in the I-cord. So now I want to show you some details that I'm happy with. Right, so here is a sleeve and it's a cuff all finished, beautifully finished, if I do say so. We gotta celebrate the good. So I really do like the I-cord as a bind off, and when you're doing it on live stitches, such as a sleeve or the bottom of the cardigan, it's a great way to finish off, and you're not stuck doing a 2x2 rib or something, which is the alternative. Yeah, so that looks really smart. And then another change I'm making this time around is the number of steek stitches. I've reduced how many steek stitches we need based on the information I got from cutting this piece. Let me show you the outside. So I cut the stick stitches and you can't see them. That's the I-cord edging. And this is the body, you know, this is the fabric. But let me show you inside. Prepare to be amazed. There's no ribbon on this, but look at how beautiful that came out. Even if I do say so. So that's the inside of the jacket, and I like it so much that I wouldn't even bother with the ribbon unless I wanted to make it, you know, just an added element. The ribbon's not actually going to do a whole lot functionally. It's more to look pretty, which I have nothing against, but I actually am really happy with how this turned out. So those of you who watched the last episode will have seen that I steeked this without any support. So let's talk about this steek in detail. The steek was bigger, there was more stitches, so there was more width on it than I needed. I think the yarn would hold up just fine in a front steek and not actually need to be reinforced. But because I had so many stitches more than this in the steek, I decided after I'd cut it to do a crochet chain up the edge of it. So actually I did it maybe 2 stitches from the center where I cut. I did a crochet chain all the way down just on the steek stitches. I wasn't attaching it to anything. I was just putting a chain up and down those stitches. And then I took my scissors again and I cut right up against that crochet chain on the outside side. And that resulted in that really nice edge. And then with the same wool, I just did a tack very loosely down there to keep it flat. And that's it. So I don't want you to have to go through all that cutting, more cutting, you know, let's just cut once, measure twice, cut once. And so I've changed the number of steek stitches that the pattern will have so that it comes out this size. I think we will do a crochet chain if you want to. You don't have to, I don't think, but if you want to, I think what I did it for is that it gave me a nice stitch to catch in my whip stitch down the side here. When I started to do a whip stitch on the bigger width of the steek that didn't have any reinforcement, I was catching my stitch on sort of cut stitches and it was pulling off and wasn't holding tight. So that's when I decided that I would do the crochet chain, and then that gave me something to put my needle through going down to keep it shut. But I'm really, really happy with how that came out. That is something there is to be happy about. And I did it on both sides because, you know, I did all this before realizing my mistakes. You know, does this make me mad? No, it doesn't. You know, I always feel a wee bit sad when people knit something, and I've been there myself, where you knit something, it doesn't fit, or it's not right, or you made a mistake and you kept going, and now you won't wear it. But I feel like, am I mad that I made a stupid mistake? Absolutely I am, for sure. Not having enough stitches for this to close is a total ridiculous thing to have done, but there you go. Now I know that, now we know what happens is, you know, you have, remember the baby vertebrae pattern, if you've been around a while? That one only had a few stitches on either side. It was not meant to close. So I've knitted a vertebrae of sorts. So the pattern is all but written. I just need to polish it up. And I'm going to start knitting number 2, and I'm going to make sure everything works well. And it's going to be on time to the tech editor, who will make sure that my numbers add up and all of that good stuff, and make sure that it actually is a good and accurate pattern. And then we'll do testing. So that's all coming. It's still on time, even though I'm taking millions of detours and doing so much ripping out. But that's what I was going to say is, I don't mind ripping out. I don't know how you feel about it. I think many people get really annoyed with themselves and get fed up with the project if they have to rip it out. But I think that ripping out and reknitting is just part of our knitter's journey. And the more you do it, the more you learn. Well, if you're paying attention, you learn a lot. And also, if you're not afraid to rip out, then you're not afraid to try things either. And so you maybe have a more, you know, dynamic knitting journey as well, where, you know, you're trying things, you don't like the way it looks, so you rip it out and try again. This is Berlin yarn. You've seen this before, I'm sure. This is my Balvrade Hap, which is by Rita Taylor, and it's a gorgeous big hap pattern. I'm going to put it back up here. From Berlin Yarns. The yarn is from Berlin Yarns. So who's excited to see what's in the socks bag? All right, well, just one more thing I have to show you first. This is not to do with the Vams Cardi. This is to do with just some alternate knitting I've been doing because I'm so fed up when I made that stupid mistake. So this is a sock. It is the Bluebird Cafe by This Handmade Life, who you might just be able to see my blanket up there, my patchwork blanket. She made that. I bought it from her, and she makes beautiful things, and she has a lot of sock patterns. So with our sock sprint coming in July, you can check out This Handmade Life on Ravelry and see all of her patterns. So this is a lovely wee lacy sock. It's a toe up. So I'd started knitting this cuff down because I'm not a fan of toe up, honestly. I started knitting it cuff down, but I didn't bother to change the direction of the lace. I thought it would be fine. I didn't like it. I wasn't happy with the fabric either, and I thought it was maybe another bad match of yarn and pattern. But so I ripped it out and I picked it up again and I started knitting it, and I just went with the way the pattern is written, and I'm so much happier with it. Yeah, and what's nice is she doesn't bother with putting the lace on the back, so it's really quite a quick knit once you get going. The heel, I've got to work on my yeah, I got to work on my heels, especially these sort of short row heels. I'm definitely top down, heel toe and gusset. Is it heel toe and gusset? No, it's heel, oh my god, what is it? Heel flap and gusset. So that's my jam, but I'm going with it this way. And I know that you can do a heel flap and gusset going from bottom up as well, but I've forgotten how to do that. I'm just enjoying knitting these. And of course, I'm knitting this in beautiful woolly wool, which is from John Arbon. This beat up skein is in my lovely bag. I love my bag. I made this many years ago. I hand stitched or appliqued on these little sheep. I love the inside fabric and the green zipper. And so these are living in here, and I'm knitting it with John Arbon's Exmoor silk yarn, which is a gorgeous, gorgeous British wool made in the UK, embracing the characteristics of our local Exmoor sheep as a durable, machine washable yarn in an array of North Devon inspired shades. So there are several shades. We sell this here at the shop, and it is made with 60% Exmoor Blueface, which is superwashed, 20% superwash Corriedale, 10% Swartblaze, and 10% nylon. So only a 10% nylon count. This is my first pair of socks that I've knitted with this, if I'm right. I don't know, I don't remember. I think it is. Right, so that's all my knitting. Who wants to see what's in the sock bag? Okay, let's have a wee look, shall we? Oh, well, before we do that, I just saw this came in. Kate Davies's Inkling, which is her latest book. Look at that, it's so colorful. Where inkling is a word that's often used in Scotland when you have an inkling for something. It means an idea, and she explains in further detail what an inkling is. Oh. So that sweater is really nice. It's striped, it's got that, I don't know that that's really, it's sort of a, I think it's sort of a dolman shape, and then it's got skinny arms that you knit on after. So you're not knitting the whole sleeve and body. Sort of a modified dolman, I think, and I could be talking absolute rubbish. That often happens. So she took a course, or she did, what does she call it? A residency with the British Council and Applied Arts of Scotland. And she took up inkle weaving, which is adorable. And inkle weaving is, let me see if I can find you a picture of her doing it. There. So you can see that she's got a loom, and it's this very thin weaving that she made belts and whatnot with. And so she learned how to do this and put pattern in it. And then she came up with, I think 4 designs that you could do on an inkle loom yourself, loom, and 11 knitted patterns. There's the cover picture, and everything from color work to pretty lace cardigans. She makes everything look so beautiful. Oh my gosh. How can I show you this without? Look at that. Do you know, I've been going on and on for the last few days about wanting to knit a lacy shawl. That might be a good shawl to knit all over lace. Lace is my Achilles heel. I'm not the best at lace, but I have just the yarn. Oh, look at this. We have new yarn in the shop. It's called Jagger Spun. Jagger like Mick. And this has got such a great story, and it's a little bit unusual for the Woolly Thistle, but we feel like it's right at home here. So look, I'm going to very quickly show you this. I'm not going to go through all the colors today because I am blethering way too much and we have things to do. So go look in the shop for this. This is a beautiful USA spun yarn. It's spun right in Maine, which is a neighboring state to me. The wool comes from Europe, and it is dyed in Bradford, England as top. And then it's shipped over here where it is spun up in Springvale, Maine. And so Jagger Spun has been around since the 1800s. There's a great story to it. Old Uriah Jagger came over from England and ended up starting a woolen mill of his own here in the New World. So I would love to show you all the colors. Maybe I'll show you them next time. But I think this would be great for lacy shawls, which is why I just thought of it there, as well as maybe drapey cardigans. And we have it in a fingering weight in about 15 different colors. Right, the moment is here that we've been waiting for, and here it is. I'm going to show you everything that is in the Woolly Thistle Knitters Sock Bag 2021. This is the first time we have done this, and basically it's a sock bag filled with gorgeous socks and other goodies, or sock yarns I should say. And last week, our last episode, I showed you a couple of the yarns. One of them was, of course, West Yorkshire Spinners. And West Yorkshire Spinners sock yarn is called Signature 4-ply. It is 75% British wool and 25% nylon. So it's a really hardy, hard-wearing sock yarn, but it's soft. And 35% of the wool content is actually British Blue-Faced Leicester, which is a great, great yarn. So you will get a skein or a ball of this. This is a 100-gram ball. And it comes in either stripes or solids. Worth telling you now that we will be choosing the colors of all the kits. So you will not be choosing your colors. That would be far too complicated, and it's easier for us. We know what we've got. We will make them look pretty. We will make them look good. But you have to trust us on that. And I know you will. We do the same thing with the taster box as well, and you are very good about trusting us, and I think everyone's been very happy. New to the Woolly Thistle and brand new, or for the purpose of this grab bag, we got in some gorgeous coupe knits or socks, yay, by Rachel Coupe. And this came over from the UK. And this comes in many colors, and we have all of them. I love this pink. So yep, and this is a blend, I think again, 75-25. 75% fine superwash merino wool and 25% nylon. So these are 50-gram skeins. You get 2 50-gram skeins of that. Okay, now you haven't seen the rest, so this is the big reveal. Of course, we can't have a sock bag and not include Garthenor. These are two 50-gram skeins, which is enough to knit a pair of socks. This is 100% wool, no nylon, no superwash, all natural. And this particular pair, you would have a marled yarn. This particular one is 50% Hebridean yarn and 50% Romney, which would make a great pair of socks. So you get two skeins of Garthenor organic sock yarn called Snowdonia. And the last sock yarn, of course, has to be our favorite John Arbon Exmoor sock yarn. I had just read you the contents of that. It is, I want to say, 90% wool, 10% nylon. And most of the yarn in it is superwash. There is a little bit of Swart Bliss mixed in there that is not pre-treated as superwash. Colors for this is gorgeous. Okay, you ready to see what else is in here? So of course we have our project bag, and we're very, very much in love with this new image that we have. This was drawn for us by Brooke, who is an artist, and we love our sheep. We have named our sheep Thistle, and our lady sitting is knitting a sock on there. And we wanted her to be, we wanted all of us to see something of ourselves in her. We wanted to be inclusive and include everybody who might, you know, look at this and think, yeah, I can see me. I'm sitting on that sheep. This is my contribution right here. So we love her, and we think she's every woman, every knitter, and we love her. And to our male knitter friends, I'm sorry that we don't have one specifically for you. But hopefully you like our girl anyway. And so we have some extra bits and pieces in here. So in addition to the 400 grams of beautiful sock yarn and your gorgeous project bag, we also include some other goodies, including a little sample pack of eucalyptus in 2 different flavors or scents. We have an airplane going over. And so this comes in your bag. We also have a beautiful sticker of Our Lady, and you can put that on your water bottle. And there's a teeny tiny, I don't know if you can see it, teeny tiny little bee stitch marker in there too. And lastly, or not quite lastly, we have an enamel pin with Our Little Lady on it, and it says The Woolly Thistle, and she's on there, and it comes on a card. We decided not to punch a hole in the card because she's too pretty. So you get the card and you get the pin, you get the sticker and the stitch marker, you get the eucalyptus, and lastly, as always, we're putting in a card with suggested patterns, and each yarn gets 2 pattern suggestions, and one of each is free. So there's free patterns you can start knitting right away, or if you want to purchase a pattern, you can look at our suggestions. But honestly, there's so many sock yarns out there. I'm sure everyone will have their favorites that they're ready to knit with their sock yarn. So I hope you agree that this is a great value at $99.95. And we have stocked up. We have a lot, but we know there's an awful lot of you ready to purchase. So yeah, you get a lot of great added bonus little goodies in the bag, as well as 400 grams of beautiful sock yarn and brilliant sock yarn too. So West Yorkshire Spinners, John Arbon Exmoor sock yarn, Garthenor Organics, as well as Never Before Here Soxia by Rachel Coupe. So all of that comes in the bag for $99.95. We hope that these will be a great deal for you. We think it's really good price for what you get. These will be shipping out after, let's see, June 25th. So a week from today, these will start shipping out. It's just pre-orders opening today. Just quickly want to show you that we have just got these in stock. This is the sock ruler. You can find that in the shop. Great if you are knitting socks for friends or other people and you don't have their foot right there to measure them. You can get a measurement and go with this and get a nice accurate size. We also just got back in the Woolly Thistle swatch gauge from Kitrinkles. She makes these for us, and these disappeared really fast last time, and I couldn't resist. We have a corgi needle gauge right here, just like my little Bella corgi. Yeah, so we've got those are new in, and whoops, yeah, we have so many sock bags and different variations made up already, so there's lots of good stuff here. Well, I think that's enough of my singular blethering for now, and I think we should go visit Denise, who is Earth Tones Girl. She is a wonderful, wonderful human being. She always has a smile on her face, and I'm really, really drawn to her. She's got a great personality, and she's beautiful, and she knits socks like crazy. She's always knitting socks. You can find her on YouTube as Earth Tones Girl, and Instagram as well. She has her own website, which is earthtonesgirl.com. We'll put all the places you can find her in our show notes. And we had a great catch up. We actually had not met until this interview, but I feel like I know her and have known her for a long time. And we talk all about socks. So we hope that this inspires you with your sock knitting. And also don't forget that we have our sock sprint starting in July as well. So all of this is great preparation for a sock sprint, which is 2 weeks knitting a pair of socks with us, and we'll be doing that through Ravelry and Facebook. So we hope you will come and join us and knit through the sunshine, but knitting on something fairly small that doesn't drive you crazy in the hot weather. So without further ado, let me introduce you to the wonderful Denise, also known as Earth Tones Girl. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now. And if you go out, take your knitting. Bye-bye. So welcome, Denise.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to talk socks and to finally meet you. So
yes,
this is wonderful.
Same here. We've been moving in the same circles, but never actually met. And
yes,
it's great to actually talk to you.
Exactly.
So, Denise, you are totally into socks. Is that all you knit, or do you ever knit other things?
Oh, I knit just about everything else. I just find, especially since my children were born, that sock knitting is a little more portable and just fits into my lifestyle a little bit better. I remember I ordered a kit from you about a year or two ago for a cowl. It's all Fair Isle cowl, but that's sitting and reading charts. So yeah, that's a little bit more time consuming. So socks has become my go-to project.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
And so, so tell us a bit about your knitting journey and how you started knitting, how long you've been knitting, things like that.
I think I have to go back even further. My making journey started when I was about 8, and I was on the playground, and a friend of mine who was 8 taught me how to crochet. And that's what we would do at lunchtime or recess. We would sit and crochet together. And then I did that for years. And then fast forward to massage school, which I did in 1999. And all of a sudden, I just became obsessed with learning how to knit. And I don't know why. I do know why. I wanted to make really simple rolled rim hats. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. And there was no knitting in the round, or that was never suggested. So I did the seam, and it was chunky and awful. I still have the hat as a reminder of how far I've come. And it went on from there. I became completely obsessed and consumed. And the more I read and the more I learned, the more I wanted to read and the more I wanted to learn. Mm-hmm. There's a creativity to it. There's a simplicity to it, a beauty to it. And it also feels like a connection. I'm very traditional with my knitting, and it feels like a connection to the past, which I love. And I also went to sock camp 3 years with Meg Swanson. And it was originally done by her mother, Elizabeth Zimmerman. So I am a loyal disciple of Meg Swanson. And I remember going one year, and Joyce Williams, who's now passed away, but she was knitting socks. And I thought, yes, that's it. That's it. That's what I want to learn how to do. And I just learned by literally sitting at her feet at camp in the evenings. And here I am now.
Do you remember turning your first heel and what that felt like? I do too.
I turned my first heel with Kat Bordy had just released Sock Soar on 2 circular needles. That book just came out, and the store that I went to doesn't even exist anymore in Poughkeepsie, New York. And I bought the book and I sat there. There was no YouTube. There was no Instagram. There was nothing, just me and the book. And it took so long. And I ripped it out and I didn't understand. And wait, transfer to the distant needle. And when it all clicked,
Magic.
I heard angels. I really heard angels singing. And it's
awesome.
funny, I gifted that pair of socks to my aunt who still has them, and she lives in Australia.
Oh my gosh, she is very knitworthy. That's awesome.
Yeah, but I didn't even know what knitworthy was at the time. I just thought you knit things and you give them away, because that seemed to be what people did. So yeah, but turning that first heel magic really is the word. I felt so smart.
Yeah, exactly. And I just thought, oh, how technical. And it's like I have an engineering brain or something.
Yes,
I don't actually, but it was perfect. I was lucky. I didn't learn to knit socks until after YouTube was there. So I had lots of help Googling things and doing it that way. But still, it really felt like magic that you turn this whole corner.
Yeah.
And then it fits. And so
it's amazing that you can take a 2 sticks and string and turn them into this 3-dimensional, because up to that point, I was knitting sweaters, but in pieces. So that made sense. Like, you knit a flat piece, you shape the piece, you sew the pieces together.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, I got that. But to do it, to create a 3-dimensional piece continuously was just mind-blowing. It was mind-blowing to me. I figured this is, it doesn't get any better than this. I just became absolutely obsessed.
Yeah. Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
I did.
So do you know how many pairs of socks you've knitted over that time? Any ideas?
Yes, but I won't answer that question because
come on.
It's been a while, and considering pairs that I've given away, I'm well over 200.
Wow. Which is 400 socks. Oh my gosh.
Which is 400, probably more than that, because the last time I counted, and that was 3 years ago, there were 170 pairs in the house.
Oh my God.
So I think, and then, you do your box, this box of socks became a thing. So you have your box and you fill your box. And honestly, I would fill the box every year and then empty the box and fill the box and empty, but I stopped counting. I wasn't counting anymore. So I think I'm a little over that now.
So you truly are a sock expert. You have knitted so many pairs. And what's your favorite style of sock? Is it a vanilla sock with self-striping, or is there some texture in there that you like? Or
when I first started knitting socks, the more densely textured the sock was, the more I loved it. And it was, cables and lace and twisted stitches. And it was just, I even ventured into German knitting patterns. So the books were, the charts were completely different and everything was written in German. So I actually had a German friend that taught me how to read the charts, and so dense. And I loved that. But again, now I have kids. So
so now it has to be portable and not having to look for the pattern.
Right. And I can't look down at my hands because I'm watching the children on the playground. So it has now evolved into plain vanilla socks, stripy socks, vanilla. But lately I've gotten more into experimenting with heels and toes. And so I can focus for a short amount of time and then go back to vanilla.
Or you can do the heel and toe at night when the kids are down. And
exactly. Usually I'm too tired, but I can try. But that's the perfect amount of concentration for me now, to focus on a heel, even if it's a really different heel that I've never done before. I can sit there. I had a heel stumped me the other day and I was like, oh, okay. But I ripped it out and I did it again and it worked perfectly. And it was such an achievement. So
I know that you just recently launched a pattern, Socksploration, and it's to do with the heel. It's a wrap heel. Is that right?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
It's Socksploration. I actually have a copy of it here. This is the new pattern. It is available on Ravelry as well as my website, which is earthtonesgirl.com. Right. And this pattern features, this is my second pattern, and this features a shadow wrap heel.
Okay. And tell us about that if you can.
The shadow wrap heel is, you're creating the heel with short rows. It is a short row heel, but it's a combination of twin stitches. So you're creating 2 stitches in one as you create the first half of the heel, and then you're creating triple stitches, which is 3 stitches in one as you come down the other side of the heel.
Okay.
And it is a perfectly symmetrical heel. This, I think, also comes from my time with Meg Swanson and those teachers and those knitters. I'm a stickler for symmetry and no holes. And I don't understand when the 2 sides of something don't look the same.
Right.
So with the shadow wrap heel, the sides are identical. There are absolutely no holes. And the join between the heel and the instep is perfect. It's really, it's very, very clean. And also the depth of the heel, it's slightly deeper than other short row heels that I've tried. So you're not getting as much pulling then over your instep. And I have one here.
Yeah, let's have a look.
So yeah, this is a little, you can even see that it's puckering slightly on the blocker because it's a little bit deeper. So there's no pulling across here as much. Now that's not an absolute, right? Depending on the shape and size of your foot. But in my experience, and with a lot of people that have tried it so far, this area in here is really super comfortable, and there's no holes, and the 2 sides look the same.
So that's beautiful. And without giving away your secret sauce, but when I've tried to do a 3-stitch pickup, I'm not sure how I'm supposed to do it. And I ended up putting all 3 of those legs on the left needle, and then I'm trying to scoot in behind and I do a knit stitch. Is there any secret, or if it is in your pattern and we don't want to talk about it, that's fine?
No. I'm happy to share, even if it is in the back, because there is a tutorial for this heel on YouTube. Okay. So there is there, and you can go and see. And what I try to stress, I'm actually holding a sock. What I try to stress is I tend to, I don't know if I can do it because I'm doing it backwards, but just before I go into the triple stitch, I pull down a little bit here on the fabric. So it makes it a little, it just creates just enough space to get in, to get that needle point in. I also like to use really pointy, super duper pointy. These are higher sharps.
We love them here. Yep.
Yeah, so higher sharp. I mean, I've used an Addy Rocket, which is my other go-to needle, but the point is a little more round.
Yep. No,
and it just makes it harder. It makes it a little bit trickier, not harder, trickier to get that needle in there.
Right. Okay, that's good. So you have a tutorial on YouTube. So I'll put a link to that in the show notes so that.
Thank you. Thank you.
That is something, because when I do heels like that, they don't look like your heel. They look a little bit messy, a little bit gapey over here and pulling over here. And,
So. But I think it's. I do get that question, like, why do I have a space? Why do I have a gap? And I think it comes with time and just with practice. I always give a little tug. Yep. And it's automatic, to the point when I do try to teach it or I'm recording a video, I really have to slow myself down. Yeah. Because people have watched me knit and they're like, oh, wait, did you just pull the yarn a little bit? I'm like, oh, did I? And I'm not trying to not be helpful. I don't notice, because it's just a habit.
Yeah. No, that sounds good. And tell us about your No Fear course as well, because you have a huge course with a huge amount of content, right?
Yes, I do. I have never been afraid of knitting. Mm-hmm. I've never been afraid of any knitting technique. I always see it as, how can I master this? That's how I go in with that mindset. And so many people have been watching me knit on Instagram and watching my podcast, and I'm too afraid to try socks. It's so scary. And I'm thinking, I don't understand what is scary. Yeah. So I wanted to create content to eliminate that fear. And as I was learning how to knit throughout the years, once I understood how the stitches worked, how you could manipulate them, how they sat on the needle, exactly how to knit in. Once I had that foundation of real understanding, I feel like the fear went away. Yep. So I tried creating that in my tutorials. It's the No Fear Sock Knitting series or class on my YouTube channel. Everything is in a playlist. Everything is labeled and numbered, so it's right there. And I take you through all of the steps, from choosing your yarn, choosing your needles to getting started, cast on options. And then each video is broken up into a part of the sock rather than jump it all together or clump it all together. So you start with your tools, then you cast on, then you work your leg, your heel, and the entire class is done on 2 circular needles and magic loop.
All right.
So I wanted to present it to as many people as possible, and those 2 tend to be very popular methods.
Yeah.
Double pointed needles are really popular as well, and now 9-inch needles. I've always loved the look and the aesthetic of double points, but my hands just can't get used to them, and I always end up dropping a needle. So I decided to stick with, I always drop a needle. It's like this horrible clinking sound because I'm constantly dropping. But I wanted to, again, with the videos, I wanted to create content that eliminated that fear, that opened up this whole other facet of knitting to more people.
Yeah, and I think that,
so that was
you've
my
been
goal.
Successful at that. It's out there. There's so much good stuff in there. So I recommend
Thank you.
Especially for newbie knitters who who are wanting to knit their first pair of socks. That would be a great start for sure.
I think so. And as I've been using YouTube now for years, when I look up a technique, usually the instructor, and this is not a criticism or judgment, it's just an observation, I'll see the instructor start the technique, explain, and then there's a gap and they go right to the end. So I try, my phrase is, I'm going to do this in real time. So I actually knit the whole thing with you, which may seem boring to the non-knitter or to the more experienced knitter, but I think to the new knitter, to the new sock knitter, it's like, oh my gosh, this is great. So I get to see
every step,
every stitch, every step on the way. And then I say, if you need to go back, you can watch this again. And that's the beauty of YouTube. You can, it's Denise on demand. You can look me up at 3 a.m. if you're stumped, and I'm happily sleeping. So it works out great. It works out great.
It's such a gift that you gave to the community, though, because I know that probably people were saying you should charge for this. And I know that you really thought hard about that, and you came down on the side of, nope, this is free. I want to do this. And I remember that when it came out, I was like, wow, wow, what a nice thing.
It didn't make any sense to me to charge for it. I mean, of course it did, because there's profit there. However, that wasn't my goal. And I'm fortunate enough that wasn't a motivating force for me. To need to make money off of it. And all of the information, it also seemed kind of, I don't know if the word is unfair, but I don't know what the right word is, but it seemed odd to me to charge for something that has been passed on for generations.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know, many of us had the chance to sit with a mom, a grandmom, an aunt, or even an uncle or dad, and with anyone, to sit there and learn to knit. And it didn't make sense to charge for that.
Yeah. Well, that's
it's not how I learned. I mean, yes, I paid for camp, but all the extra information that I got at camp was freely given. So
you know, no, I think that's a gift that you've given the knitting community for sure.
Thank you.
Especially the sock people. That's so good. So, and you do have your own website and you have a store on there. Is that right?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Other than your patterns.
Sorry?
Other than your patterns, do you say?
Yes, other than the pattern. So my other pattern is No Fear Shorty Socks. And that pattern is an accompaniment to the videos.
Okay.
So that you follow, you can purchase the pattern, and then you actually have a pattern that you can knit along with. That way all of the numbers make sense. You've got everything right there in front of you. So that was the first pattern that I did. And then I branched off to Socksploration. But the website, another motivation behind the website too, was I know some people have issues with using Ravelry, and I wanted to have a space that was mine, that I could curate, that I could blog, I could talk about whatever I wanted to talk about without any limits. So right now I've started branching off to Progress Keepers. I have an enamel pin, which says Fearless Sock Knitter. So that's really fun. And then my markers, which I have here.
Oh, look at these. They're so shiny, and I love
they're so shiny. They're so shiny, and they just have little messages. I call them motivation markers, and they just have little messages on them to inspire, to encourage, to support, to
I think my favorite one is I'm doing this for me.
Yes, yeah, I have that one. I have that one here. I have Fearless. Hold on, you know what? I'm just gonna take them all off the thing for a second. Yes, it's here. It's this one. I'm doing this for me.
Yes, yes, that's my motto.
Yeah, and you know, because so many, again, that's another thing with knitters and something I don't believe in. I feel like a lot of knitters in general, whether you're a sock knitter or a regular knitter, feels that it's selfish to knit for yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
No, it's so not, because as a mother, as a wife, as a member of a school community, church community, whatever, I'm giving so much of myself away.
Yep.
That knitting, and even if I knit my socks and they sit in the drawer, that's fine. If that's what's making me happy and bringing me joy, I'll ultimately do something with them. I don't know what, but
it's okay.
Why do I even have to?
The process of knitting one stitch at a time and creating something, it's definitely what I really enjoy about knitting. And that's why I don't mind ripping things back, because I just get to knit more. Not a big deal.
Right, exactly. Oh, thank you so much for saying that. You do. It's not wasted time. Excuse me. It's not wasted time. If you have to rip something out, you just get to spend more time with that, with the yarn. Yeah.
And I think that's really counterintuitive to the way we are made to live our lives these days, which is busy, result. And it's something that is completely in our control. And if it makes us slow down, that's a really good thing. And I think that if we are able, do this for myself, then you are filling yourself up and you get to continue giving without, getting resentful about
it's true. And again, it's something that comforts me, especially if I'm sitting at the playground. I've made that reference before, but if I'm sitting there, my kids are doing something, hockey practice, soccer practice, whatever it is, I'm happy. I want them to have that experience. Yeah. But then I get a little something for myself while I'm with them.
Yeah. I remember sitting, watching endless gymnastics, and all the other moms were on their phones. And I'd be like, I am so glad I'm a knitter,
oh my gosh, I'm so happy that you said that too, because so many moms are glued to their phones. They're sitting there like this, and I'm thinking, when this is done, I've got a usable product at the end.
Exactly. And I was able to take my eyes off of that to watch my kids. So you're just keeping your hands busy. Yeah.
Right. And you can't always do that if you're on the phone. No. So it's, again, it's perfect. I can engage with my children and still I can sit. The only place I don't knit is church.
I did.
And not because it's more for the parishioners, because I feel like they may think it's disrespectful, but in my mind, if this is a God-given talent, why wouldn't I do it in church? But
I know. It's funny. I think that's still a thing. I think a lot of people will knit during meetings and get a little bit of flack for it, but as long as you're not doing color work or cables or something crazy, if you're just knitting stitch after stitch, we don't need to think about that.
And again, a lot of people don't always believe when knitters say that it helps them think, but I can get jittery and nervous sometimes if I'm just staring at a screen or I'm sitting in a meeting, and you get antsy and my mind drifts. But if I have this focus and my hands are going, I do hear better.
Yeah. No, I think knitting fixes everything. Basically.
I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. Absolutely.
And were you just teaching at Vogue Knitting Live?
I'm actually teaching this weekend. Depending on when this airs, I'm teaching June 12th and 13th. So it's a sock knitting tips and tricks and a new class that I just created called Sock Heels 101.
Excellent.
Which one, when, and why?
Oh my God, that's brilliant. And I want to know.
I'm thinking about doing a smaller, like a more condensed version of that on YouTube, but that's another really big question. It's okay. So now I can knit a sock, but there's so many kinds of heels, and we have our standard. You have your heel flap and gusset, your short row heel, and your afterthought heel. Those tend to be the three main heels that people go back and forth to. I mean, if you're doing stripes, for example, and you want that bullseye effect, of course I don't have a sock right now, but if you want that bullseye effect, you do the afterthought so you don't break up the striping. But there are so many other tons and tons of other types of heels out there, and whether you're knitting toe up or top down, that changes the heel as well. So yeah,
Fascinating.
so I want to answer that question in this class. So if you have a pattern, even my plain vanilla sock pattern, any vanilla sock pattern, how do you substitute a heel? When do you put it in? Do you have to adjust your stitch count? Why would you use this one over this one?
Yeah. No, I love that.
So
that's really great. Oh my God, that's
I'm
so exciting.
so psyched for that class.
So is this the first time you're I was going to say knitting it? Is this the first time you're doing this class?
Yes. It's
Oh my
the first
God.
time I'm teaching it. I feel like I've talked about a lot of those
Yeah.
things before in various episodes, but now to put it in a more concise format.
Yeah.
And go into a little bit more detail and explain. I mean, even for example, with my sock exploration with the shadow wrap heel, it's a cuff down pattern, but can you do it toe up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm knitting it now toe up. This is going to be my sample. So yeah, I get to try that out toe up.
That's awesome.
So it's fun. It's so much fun.
So let's talk about sock yarn. Do you have a favorite sock yarn that you like to knit with, and what is it?
Generally I like a 75-25 blend of merino nylon.
Yep.
And once I've paired that, I tend to pair that with a really fine needle with the high sharp. Yep. And I really do think that the yarn and the needle together makes a big difference. But when I have that combination on the needles, I can just fly.
It's like butter.
It's butter. It really is butter. It really is. So
what size,
tends to, yes.
Sorry, what size needle do you normally knit on?
2.25 millimeter.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I know with a higher sharp, that is a size, hold on, I've got it. Yep, I've got it right here. That is a US 1, but with an Addy, with a sock rocket, that size doesn't have a corresponding number.
Okay. Huh. Yes, I've noticed that too. I've got in trouble because of that, actually.
Yeah, so I just refer solely to the millimeter size rather than the US number.
Yeah.
But 2.25 is my go-to. I also love an 80-20 blend. That's also because it's a slightly plumper yarn. I just like sock yarn in general. I really do. I recently knit with Targi for the first time, which is this sock.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah.
And this is 90% Targi, 10% nylon.
And do you want to tell us whose yarn that is? Because that's really nice.
It's beautiful. This is Woolens Nosh.
Okay.
The dyer's name is Michelle, and this is her percolated colorway.
We might have to get in touch with her.
Yeah, it comes with this coffee bean. This is a contrasting skein that comes with it.
Oh, perfect. Because
it's a lovely, it really is. I can't explain it, but as soon as I cast on, I couldn't stop. And I'm really curious to wear the socks. It's a little too hot in New York right now. It's been really warm. But I'm really curious to wear this and just get a feel for how it wears and holds up in the shoe. But I tend to knit my fabric at about 9 to 9.5 stitches to the inch.
Yep.
So that will hold up really well.
Yeah. And did it feel a little bit, did it have a little bit more tooth to it, do you think?
Yes. Okay. Yes. Yeah. It did. It really did. And it's interesting, as much as I love the superwash and the other types of yarn, I do love the natural wools as well. I have some yarn. This is a natural wool here in my shorty sock pattern. And this is just a 3x1 rib. And this is, Garthanor.
From England, yes.
Yes, and it is toothy and wonderful. I did a slip stitch across the back here, and I carried the slip stitch down on the bottom of the heel.
Oh yes, to give it a little bit more padding and
just a little more padding. And this speaks to the traditional side of me. You know, this definitely speaks to that love of, you know, you look at the old fishermen in their Guernseys, and you know that yarn could stand up by itself. Like it's just so real.
So Garthanor, you're knitting with 100% wool, so there's no nylon in there, which is a great idea to do the slip stitch, just to give it a little bit more. Give a little
and it's
bit
this
more
colorway, which is Trifon.
Trifon, okay.
Yeah, it's this colorway.
Yeah,
and it's amazing. It's really, it's amazing, and I can't. toothy is a word, but I can't really explain how delicious it is. It
Mhm.
is just
And it looks
so,
quite fluffy. And I think once you wash it, it's going to sort of
yes,
bloom and
it blooms. It definitely blooms. It's because I've done all of my sweaters are natural fibers. I don't use superwash for sweaters.
yeah, yeah,
So it's amazing how much it blooms once it's been
yeah,
washed.
exactly, exactly.
It's
So
just amazing.
you're knitting right across the gamut, going from 75, 25. So how do you feel about nylon less socks? I mean, do you have any sort of criteria for the strength, or you're just knitting it in with that slip stitch? You would do a modification
I,
like that?
yeah, I think adding, I won't add nylon. I do think that adding more texture to the sock
It's helpful, yeah.
is helpful. That
Mhm.
is definitely helpful. And I know that Clara Parks, in her book, The Book of Socks,
Mhm.
actually has a pattern in there for 100% wool socks, and the
Yep.
entire bottom of the sock is padded.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So
Yeah,
we
well,
actually,
not padded, but slip stitches to give it
yeah,
the extra layer.
yeah,
Mhm.
which is like padding. So yeah, you're right.
Right, right.
Yeah, we sell that book. It's a great book full of excellent sock knitting,
Oh, it's a
and of
great
course
book.
Garth and Nora is what we stock here too, which is 100%.
Mhm.
Also, we have Rama Gamelzeri, which is a high
Ooh,
twist,
ooh,
100% wool sock. So there's that as
yes.
well. But
And the twist is
personally,
important.
yeah,
Sorry, go on.
yeah, no, I was just going to say personally, I need a bit of nylon. I think I'm really hard on my heels, and I would
Yeah,
be
yeah.
darning a lot more. So I do like, I'm not a purist when it comes to socks. I like nylon. And if it's superwash, I like that because then I can chuck it in the washing machine.
Right,
You just have to
right.
catch it before it gets dumped in the dryer, which is always, risky business for
Absolutely.
sure.
Absolutely. Well, I think using 100% wool socks, if you're knitting something that's more heirloom,
Hmm.
if you're doing knitting kilt hose or something really
Yes, of course.
spectacular,
Yeah, yeah.
then there shouldn't be a stitch of nylon in there anywhere.
Right, exactly. And those things are,
That's
yes,
my
gonna be
opinion. That's
passed
my
down.
experience.
Yeah, no, that makes
Mhm.
total sense. So
Yes.
I have here a sock that's just finished by
Oh,
Marie, who is our sample knitter.
oh my
And
gosh.
this is called Winter's Frost, and it's by This Handmade Life. Do you know this
That's
Handmade Life, Olivia?
beautiful.
It's really pretty. There we go.
There we go. There we go.
Very juicy berry color, but it's very woolly wool. And this is John Arbon's Exmoor sock yarn. And there
Oh,
is a tiny bit of nylon in it, not that much, but just enough, I think, that I would be able to.
oh, it's gorgeous. That is
Yeah.
gorgeous. And that's
Yeah.
an eye of
So,
partridge heel.
yes, I think it is with
Mm-hmm.
the camera. Can you
Yeah.
see that?
Yes, I can. Yes, I
Okay.
can.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so, which was always my favorite one to do. I felt so
I love
clever.
that. I love that so much. That's another heel that makes you feel smart when you're working on it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And until you kind of get off one and then it's all stripes again. And like, I wasn't even going for that. How did I do that?
Right, right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
So,
beautiful.
okay. So,
So tell me, as a consumer, I'm looking for sock yarn. And then what would I find in your shop
yeah.
for
So
sock knitting?
I definitely would love to have more sock yarn, but what we have is British and European yarns, and for the most part anyway. And so you would, yeah, I love it. It keeps my connection with home alive so much
Yeah.
more than I've been here. Oh God, I think 30 years next year.
Mm-hmm.
And in the last 5 years of running the Woolly Thistle, I've been more connected to my home in all that time.
That's
Before. So
wonderful.
it's
That's
so much more
wonderful.
than just job or working for me. It's actually keeping my roots alive. But anyway,
I love
so
that.
yeah, so we have West Yorkshire Spinners, which is
I love
this
that
is
yarn.
actually a 75-25 blend
It's
of
gorgeous. That
this
is a gorgeous sock.
this is the Agatha sock that I designed probably 5 years ago. And I went to, yes, it was 5 years ago. And I went to my first EYF that year. Have you been to
Okay.
EYF yet? Or
No, I have not. I haven't.
wonderful, wonderful. When I designed this and I went to EYF and I woke up my first morning and I saw a PayPal notification that Stephanie Pearl McPhee had bought my pattern.
Oh, that's one of those, oh my gosh moments.
Yeah, I sat up in bed and was like, wait, what?
That's
It was the best.
That's
It
so
was the best.
great.
And then I kind of held my breath like, okay, but is she going to actually knit it?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
she did. She knitted it. I think she knitted it in this color.
Oh,
And she posted about it on Instagram. And I was just like, huzzah!
that's fantastic. It's so funny. You would get so excited by that. You have like no non-knitter would understand how huge that is.
Exactly. Like I'm texting my husband. He's like, okay, that's good. I'm like, no, you don't understand.
So great.
So
That's
yeah,
so great.
I was pretty intolerable that day at EYF, I think.
You deserve it. You deserve it. Absolutely.
Yeah, so this is that. And I've knit, I don't know, at least 7 pairs of this. I really had to knit it a lot. But
that
the yarn,
is a gorgeous pattern.
and the yarn is great because it's got nice stitch definition, or it's good for vanilla. And actually they do some self-striping as well.
Lovely. I have I've ordered yarn from you many times actually.
Yeah.
And I have, there's West Yorkshire has a bird.
Yes,
collection.
the country birds. Yep.
Country birds, yes. And I think I have 2 or 3 of those that are just
those are great. You know, you just
spectacular.
knit it and you know, and then
you've got this beautiful yarn.
Yep, good unisex socks as well. You can knit them for him if he's going to wear them. That would be good.
Right.
It's not that worthy, I have to say, but yeah.
My husband's too hard on things like that. So he's a fireman. So there's no way if he's wearing a pair of socks in boots and there's a fire, no. No. Not going to work.
Yeah, so, you know, we do have a few, and we're always looking for more British or European wools that would work as a sock yarn. So,
and I just think that's brilliant what you do, that you make those yarns, you bring those yarns into the US and make them available, because the shipping from Ireland or Scotland or anywhere would be like, oh, ouch.
Yeah, that's right. And I feel good that I'm bringing it over in bulk, so that then at least I'm only shipping it out from here. Not that that's a huge benefit to the world.
Right. No,
but it is
to my world.
It's a bit of a help. Yeah. And people love it. People really love enjoying. And I think the traditional side of knitting, the harking back to history and women's work and all of that kind of stuff.
Yes.
I think the wools that we have really do speak to that quite a bit, which is,
oh my gosh, you're preaching to the choir right now. I love that so much. I love it.
Well, listen, thank you so much for your time chatting with me. I really enjoyed it, and I hope we do this again.
This has been so wonderful. I would absolutely love to do this again. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Thank
you for having me and sharing all of the stuff that I have working and going on. Thank you for that.
No, you're welcome. And thank you for your time and coming on and being such a delight, and just like your videos.
Thank you. So giggly and silly, but this is me. I get excited.
All right. Well, thank you.